day it's even more, and I'm just like, all right, well, like it's almost comical at this point. But I think like to have like the opportunity to do it with with George, I think is amazing, because I'm sure you and Bianca are the same. It's like when one of you is low, like the other person kind of helps you up and like reminds you who you are. And I think that's always great. So I'm really grateful that we get to go through this together.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. We feel lucky to work together as well, and I think that it always brings like a really interesting dynamic to a relationship. But I feel like it can be challenging, but it can also bring out incredible strength. So I'm appreciative of it. That's good to hear that we're not the only ones. Because sometimes I'm like, why do we do this? And then most of the time it's great, but
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the routine. You'll introduce yourself, talk about your upbringing, like where you came from, how you got in the hospitality industry, how wine found you, and kind of like bring us to the Dingles of today.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Anissa Dingle. We are. We'll see when this 2 weeks from now, but maybe 8 weeks out of opening our first restaurant together at 333 Fulton, which is a 100-year-old hotel. And it's so cool. Like did you ever go to play when it was there?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's really nice because there's bones and there's like these pillars in the middle of the dining room. The bar is original. There's this beautiful fireplace, and it just has this like old San Francisco charm. So I'm really excited to be doing that. And then it'll be named, I think I might have already said it, but Dingles. And it was funny because the name wasn't, I'll come back to this, but the name wasn't liked very much when we first started the concept, I guess. Like, people were like, are you sure you want to name it Dingles? And we're like, it's our name.
Yeah, it's our last name.
Plus, I was like, plus it has like a jingle, jingles.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, but I think we had a lot of discussions about it, and we were like, let's do it. Like, let's stick with it, and maybe have just our namesake on something, which is great. But yeah, I guess the way that I got into the industry was, I like to say that I was basically my mom's unintentional protégé. Because she had me when she was 15. So she had, the typical like single mom, 3 jobs situation. When it got to the time of me, I guess, having like daycare or anything like that, I kind of refused because I just didn't really like being around, I guess, other people. Yeah, exactly. So luckily, growing up in Salinas, like the places that she worked were kind of mom and pops. And so I had the opportunity to go to work with her a lot of the time. So I was just this kid that was like always in a booth and either coloring or like doing homework. And it was fun because all the servers and like chefs and bartenders, they would come and they would take their breaks with me. And I would just like talk with them, or they'd come and like bring me like food, or they would make me like NA drinks and stuff like that. And it was such a cool experience. And then my mom would, drop me off after. And then I guess as I got older, I was able to start working. So if I ever got into trouble, my mom's like, nope, you don't get free time. You're coming to the restaurant and you're rolling silver and you're busting tables. And like, granted, I know that's probably not legal nowadays, but I mean, yeah, it was a different time.
I think it's different for family members. I'm not really sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I would start doing that, and then roll-ups were really easy. And I remember my mom, one night at home, she was a server and a bartender, but her and her friends were getting ready to go out, and I think I was maybe like 9 at the time, and she had wine chilling in the fridge, and she's like, open it. And I was like, I don't know how to open this. And she's like, listen, if you're gonna drink, you're gonna do it right. She's like, you're not gonna be drinking these like weird color concoctions that you get from the liquor store. Like, you're gonna figure it out. And I'm like, okay. And then so she taught me, and I opened my first bottle of wine that way. And sure enough, you know, maybe 15 rolls around and I became her barback on occasion. And I was like, I always looked a little older than I was, so nobody really questioned it. But so yeah, and then I would like host whenever I was there. I was definitely like my mom's second in command all the time. So she'd be like, go do that, go do that. And I think it's funny looking back on it now, because I don't think her goal was to make me this like heavy industry kind of person. I think her goal always has been like, if you're gonna do something, do it right. Like, learn it. There's no excuse not to know. If you're going to be around somewhere, you're going to make yourself useful. You're going to help out whenever you can. And, you know, just, I guess, pay respect to the space and the people around you. And I think that's great. And rolling in from that, when I was time to graduate high school, we had one of those antennas. And the only like shows that would play would be like PBS, I think, and some other random shows. And Check Please was one of them. And so I would be watching Check Please most of the time. And also these like ballets and operas that they kind of showed on there, which was nice, but there was always in San Francisco. And I remember one in particular, and it just like astounded me. And I don't know why, but, well, I do know why, but it was of Absinthe. And they were talking about the history. They had like the Absinthe list was on there, and then like the Absinthe service. And I was just infatuated with that, because in Salinas, you don't get that. You don't get like a dripped Absinthe service. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. And then, so I had the dream of coming to San Francisco and opening a patisserie. And little did I know that like it would be one of the hardest things ever, but also but moving to San Francisco and going straight into the industry was my dream. And at the time, I think family and everybody were like, there's no money in that, like it's not a respected field, like become a doctor, go into medical, go into like accounting. And I was like,
be in debt for the next 30 years.
Exactly. And I was like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like who I am. And one day my mom went to San Francisco, and she brought back this like really beautiful little piggy, you know, the ones that you get kind of like on the side by like the ferry building and stuff like that, like the vendors. And it had San Francisco Bridge on it. And she was like, you can go to San Francisco, and like if you fail, you can always come home. And so I was like, fuck yeah. So a week out of high school, moved to San Francisco, and boom, straight into the industry. Whoever would take me. I was a prep cook at this like, not even really prep cook, but I would cut vegetables basically for this like sushi space. I was a host at Rista Bar at night. And then I would just like find odd jobs like through bartending, catering companies. I don't know if that was even legal at the time either. But anyway, so yeah. And then kind of just progressed, and it's almost like, you know, there's like really scatty like kind of all over the place jazz like songs sometimes, and it's just like
Zydeco kind of
exactly. And then you're just like rolling and then you're just like boom,
it's
okay,
all
I'm
improvised.
here now. And then you like walk, and then you trip, and then you're just like, oh my god, I'm somewhere else, or like, you know, oh my god, I'm doing this, or I'm learning that, or like I'm doing whatever. And yeah, I think it's been an amazing experience so far. And I'm so thankful that I did it. And I'm so thankful that my mom kind of put me in this direction. And it's funny because like I never really thought about it at the time, but I'm like, I really did like grow up with like servers and bartenders and chefs, and like almost to the point when I was studying my CMS, I can't focus at home and quiet. Like I have to be in restaurants or bars. And when I was studying, the Snug was right down the street from my house, so I was always there, or at Sorrel, kind of just like with my big textbook and just like writing stuff down. And luckily they had some of the wines there, so I was able to like taste and stuff like that, which was really great. But yeah, so I guess that's how I got into the industry. And yeah.
And then to Monsieur Benjamin, which was where you were when I met you. Was that just kind of also random job, and then you were there for quite some time?
Yeah, I was there for maybe 5 years,
Yeah.
a little under 5 years. It was all very, I would say, intentional. Monsieur Benjamin, I think, was the first job that I took, and I really was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to refine whatever I've learned. And I think working for somebody like Chef, you know, I think I really wanted to take whatever I could get, ingest it, and just, you know, move forward. I think like there's so many details, especially now opening Dingles, like there's so many details I think that a lot of people overlook, and they are so important and pivotal and just make so much difference. And looking back on the group, you know, like that, there were so many, and I think it was so just every detail was intricate and thoughtful. You know, I think like the group operates the way that like they do food, and there's so much detail and so many, like so much thought, and it's just, and I'm really happy that I had that experience. But I got there because previously I was working for Big Night, and then before Big Night I was at Alexander's, and I think Alexander's was my first introduction to somewhat like white tablecloth dining. Big Night, working for Anna Weinberg, I think was very, very cool and interesting, just because she definitely kind of reinforced the extrovert that was inside of me. Because before that, I was back in the office, you know, and I was an office manager, HR, stuff like that. And one day they needed somebody on the floor, and she's like, go on the floor. You know, it's not that hard. I'll show you how to do it. And I'm like, okay. And then that turned into like a constant floor roll, you know, as they do. And then that's actually where I first got into wine. So I would be in the office during the day and then be on the floor at night, at Petit Marlowe specifically.
Petit Marlowe.
Yeah, I was talking to Paul about it. I was like, I worked where you were.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Was it that location? Because there was like a second location. Was there 2 Petit Marlows? Maybe not. Maybe that was
one Marlowe, one Petit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was on the floor, and then they didn't have a wine person, but the cellar was beautiful. And like looking back now, what they had in that cellar was magical. And I don't know exactly what the story was, but I think at one point Mark Bright was associated with it.
It was called like Bright Wine Bar.
I think so.
And then he sold that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there was something about, and I don't know how true this is, but I think there was something about like Petit inheriting some of the wine. So I don't know if some of those selections were his. Awesome. But because they didn't have a wine person, the wine list, things were selling, and the wine list was dwindling. And so I asked one of the owners, I was like, can I just start putting stuff can I like put the wine that's in, you know, storage on the list? And they're like, yeah, of course. I had no idea what the hell I was doing whatsoever. And I think it was so funny because I was just like, all right, let's just fucking get it done. Yeah. And one of my friends from Alexander's, David Meneses, he works at a winery now, I believe. But I texted him and I was like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. How do I price wine? Like, how do I structure it? Like, what do I do?
What do I write?
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, and a lot of these wines, like, they're not even, I think because they were inherited, they weren't even in like bin wise. They weren't like, there was no price associated with them. Yeah. So I would like pull up the like median retail and then like figure it out after the fact. And I'm so happy that like he helped me in that process. But yeah, and then the list filled up, of course. And I was like, this is great. Like, and I would see like the sales go up and I was like, that's amazing. This is an amazing feeling. And so it's kind of funny, you know, it's just like you roll into that role and then all of a sudden it's your life. And then we cleared out of what was there and I learned how to set up my first tasting appointment. And I was like, okay, this is great. I think one of my first tasting appointments was with Dominique Henderson, I believe. She was with Revel at the time, and she came over, had her wine, and at the time I didn't know you weren't supposed to spit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like 11 a.m. and I'm just getting kind of like fucking toasty. I'm just, I was like, oh no. And I seen her, I don't know when, sometime I was like, I'm so sorry. Like looking back, like I'm sure you were just like, what the fuck is this girl doing? Like, you know.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
I was selling to 133 accounts in San Francisco when I was with Chambers. There was plenty that I went to that wouldn't spit. So it's... And I lived in Galveston, and I sold wine in Galveston before that, and almost nobody spit in
That
Galveston.
makes me feel a lot better, because maybe it was definitely just all in my head, and I was just like, but it was a little nice toasty buzz before service. It was great. But yeah, and then moved on, and I was like, actually, well, I was able to meet with a few winemakers, which was amazing.
That's awesome.
And I was like, this is sick. Like, this is amazing. Now I can, like, understand wine. Now I can taste wine. Now I know the stories that go along with them and, like, the different, like, all the different, like, things about them, I guess. And it just kind of, like, blew my mind at the time. And when I went to MB after that, I was just a floor manager. There was somebody doing beverage.
Just a floor manager at Monster Benjamin. Just a floor manager. No big deal. Yeah.
But it was... yeah, you're right. It's not just a floor.
I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Yeah.
But the beverage person eventually left. And then, of course, you know, being in the right space at the right time, I was like, well, actually, I have experience with this. Like, if you want to... And then and I was like, this is great. But not only did I inherit the wine list, I also inherited the bar. So that like expanded, like my brain grew even more, and I was like, this is amazing. And I like went behind there, and there were so many like liqueurs and like just like different, like the gins that were different. Kind of it just definitely blew my mind.
It wasn't just normal call stuff on the back of the bar.
No, it was so, and like just different things that different beverage people ordered because they were fascinated with it at the time. I think is super, like
all the little fingerprints left behind.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so and that's how I ended up with wine and beverage at MB, and it was such a cool experience, and it just like, the sky's the limit, you know. And like the one thing about they really encourage your learning, and at the time Yoon Ha was still at Bennu, and so he would come and do like wine like lineups sometimes, and it was so interesting hearing him speak. And I remember one thing that he said, and he's like, it doesn't matter, like I'm an MS and I'm still learning so much every day, and like there is no tip top of knowledge with wine. Like you can learn for the rest of your life about this subject, and it's like continuously expanding and developing as we speak. And I think that was really interesting to me, and I'm like, for him to say that, and he just has this like vast world of knowledge in his head, I'm like, this is cool. Like, you know, there's always something to learn, and there's always someone new to meet that's like making moves in the wine industry, like you and Bianca,
in our own little way.
Yeah. But I thought that was amazing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick with this for a while. And then, you know, tasting through some stuff that like came over our way, and like being introduced to Burgundy for the first time, and like really understanding it. And then like, it's funny because I feel like my tastes changed with the years that went on. So like I was infatuated with Burgundy at one point in time, and I think I still am. And then I like moved on to the Loire, and I was like, oh, like this Chenin is like beautiful, and it's so like interesting and delicious. And then I moved on to like, I don't know, like Jura. Like Jura was big right before we left, but all French, all beautiful. And then the funny thing is like after the fact, I was like, Italian varietals were like something that I lusted after, just because we had to only buy French or domestic. I remember. That was the loophole. And I was so happy because whenever, like I said, when you would come and taste with me, because you're like, do you want to taste this? I know you can't buy it, and I was like, fuck yeah, I do. this is great. It's like just like all this other world, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think now where I'm at with the restaurant, I think I still have to kind of like shake myself a little bit, and I'm just like, you can order whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can design and structure the wine list however you want. Like, there are no constraints, and like you can put some really cool stuff on
Mm-hmm,
there.
mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh man. And like the moment that we got our resale license, I was like, I guess I can buy now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where do I even start? Like, you know,
World's
what
your
I
oyster.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, what would you like if you could design like the list for like your dream list? Like, where would you even start?
I don't even know. I mean, I think it would have to have a little bit of everything from everywhere.
Right?
I don't know that I could ever like paint myself into a box of saying like, you know, well, it's European cuisine, so we only carry European wine, or I only do, you know, California and French, or, you know, I only do Italian in California. There's a lot of people that I know that's programs are like that, and I have a lot of respect for those people and their programs, and,
Mm-hmm.
and in many ways, it might be a good thing because it allows you the ability to focus on particular
it's
things.
not overwhelming.
Exactly, yeah, but I think, you know, for me it would be like, I don't know, 100 SKUs, 20 domestic, 40 old world, and then kind of the remaining 40 of like a bunch of like random shit. You know? Like you guys are probably going to have some English sparkling wines, I imagine.
For sure.
You know, but then it's like, don't limit yourself on domestic, and with the tariffs going the way that they are, talk about, you know, laughing through the pain. You know, with the tariffs going the way that they are, I mean, it's kind of like, where do you begin with that? Because you have these bottles that you used to be able to buy at 20 and put on your list at 60 or 80 depending on your margin, or 100 depending on places that different people have worked, and now those are $30-$40 bottles, you know, and now you're selling a bottle of Chinon that used to be a table wine for $140. You know, we're not talking about Giberto, we're not talking about like classic producers, we're talking about, you know, little bistro wines that are coming in much higher.
Like it's almost like I think it takes a while from the guest perspective as well to even just like really understand
Absorb
like what's happening, because it's like it's kind of a sticker shock, you know.
For sure.
And then they just look at it and they're like, I just bought this wine like not that long ago. But then of course they know, but like I think it's definitely going to be a hurdle, I think, for the beginning. But I really want to have definitely some English wine.
Yeah.
And I really like the still that's there as well, like the still that comes out of Kent.
I haven't had much. Kent?
Yeah. I think they do like Pinot Noir varietals, basically just the wines that go in the champagne. I mean, not the champagne, the sparkling. Yeah. But yeah, it's delicious and it makes sense, and especially with like the climate in those places. And yeah, I think it would be great if I could get my hands on a little bit more, because when you think of wine, you don't think of English wine, you know.
Didn't used to.
No, but with the accelerating temperatures, perfect place to be, you know.
Well, it's like Steven Spurrier, you know, from the 76 Spurrier wine tasting. He has his own winery out there. Well, his daughter, I think, has the winery now, but he started planting grapes, and you're like, why? And then 20 years down the road, we're like, wow, it makes a lot of sense, you know. Unfortunately, he was right.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's slowing down at any time. So
isn't it crazy? Isn't it such a crazy time to be alive and like to see things as they are, just like rapidly changing from like, you know, and you would never think that it would affect the wine that you're drinking at a table, because, you know, but of course it does.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really easy for us to kind of like distance ourselves from what's going on across the world, and live in kind of like the day-to-day, or live in our city. And, you know, San Francisco is really lucky this is the coldest summer that San Francisco's had, apparently. I sweat a lot today carrying a child up a hill, but that's okay. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, from mold and hail in the Loire Valley to freezes in Burgundy to, you know, like grapes not getting ripe in other regions. I mean, it's kind of a wild ride. And, you know, places like Spotswood planting different grapes, and, you know, Larkmead talking about planting Touriga Nacional for their Cabernet.
Yeah, that was
and
crazy.
Like, that's insane. I never thought I would live to see that
Yeah.
day, you know?
Isn't it a bit like alarming also when you get onto the vineyard and then they talk about these things because they live it and breathe it every single day.
Every day.
And then you're there and then all of a sudden like this fear just crawls into you and you're just like, what is even happening?
Yeah.
And like, you know, I feel like it almost like not makes you more compassionate, but like for me, and maybe I'm biased and I'm sure you are also, but like it makes you appreciate the wine even more and like what the work that they're doing and like you know, I just think it's like you like the empathy that you feel with their stress and like it seems like they're handling it very well or as well as they can be.
As well as they can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious like how much stuff they have. Like, you know, they're planting experimental grapes. They're working with like nets and shades and all kinds of other things. And, you know, thankfully the region is allowing them to do these things without it becoming like a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and in other regions, like, you know, places that are much more strict on 100% Nebbiolo in a grape, in a bottle, right? They can't blend in other things.
What do you think is going to happen there?
I don't know. I have no idea. I know they get a lot of like insulating fog, so maybe it won't be quite as much of an issue for a little while, but like I think Italy's going to get it hard, especially the Mediterranean, you know. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of up in the air, but I hear you. I mean, when I went in the vineyards and they're talking about it, like I get a little fearful, but I also get like, I don't know, maybe preemptively like sentimental.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, we're lucky to be here right now and not 20 years down the road. You know, and if we're lucky, we're all going to get to kind of watch how things adapt, hopefully. But yeah, it's concerning to say the least.
To hear Kongsgaard say that he's not planting Cabernet anymore,
nuts.
I freaked out.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, you know, being that he went to the shows a lot, we were able to taste the Cabernet, like, or the blends that he did, like, pretty frequently. Delicious. I could, like, taste it now in my head. But, like, when he said that, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm just, like, thinking back on all the bottles that I opened and I tasted, and
Yeah.
I just, like, I'm like, I should have kept so much
Wish
more.
I had a few more of those,
like,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that he has some stashed away between him and Alex. I'm sure that there's a healthy dose of wine left. That brings us to a good story. This is just a story that I'm gonna love to share because I keep talking about it and I'm just like, it's so cool to see, right? Like we did this Somm trip, you know, and with however much I can talk about it, I don't know, I'm just going to talk about it. But, you know, we did the Somm trip and we were on our way to Kongsgaard, which was our first stop. And I just remember, like, I was so nervous. I was so, like, you know, people talk about him and he's like, oh, you know, the legend.
He's like a mystical creature.
Yeah, he's the myth, right? Like, nobody's ever seen him. Nobody's ever talked to him. There's, like, almost no documentation on this guy, right? And so, like, we go in and he walks out and he's this big towering figure, you know, and he's just, like, shaking everybody's hands. And he just looks at you and he, like, points and he does, like, this big, like, rawr, like, bear thing. And I was like, what the fuck is this, right? And then immediately I was like, oh, like, it dropped my guard because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, and then I think that's one of the beautiful things, too, is that, like, that you were able to meet somebody in wine, yes, kind of through wine, right? Like he came to eat at Monsieur Benjamin and he would probably bring his wines and order wines, I'm sure. But, you know, he was there mostly for the symphony. And it's just so great to see kind of like a connection outside of wine that's also gone into wine, right? And it was just so amazing for me to see like that because, you know, there's a lot of like hardcore like industry vets that were in that van and, you know, and you've obviously been in the industry for a long time, but there's 2-3 star kids and all these kids and you know, to see John just like go after you, not go after you, but like be so excited to see you. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, because the relationship goes so far beyond like, you know, buyer and winemaker, right? Or like, you know, consumer, wholesaler, like it goes beyond that. And that's the importance of wine is how it connects us as humans, right? Beyond just kind of like, yeah, he's a winemaker or whatever. She was the somm or the lady running the wine program or something. It's so much deeper than that, which I love. I think it's beautiful.
I totally agree. And it's funny because I just feel like one of the things my mom always said was always, it's not that serious. And I'm just like, what do you mean it's not that serious? Like, as an angry little angsty, like, you know, kid and young adult, I was just like, it's so serious. And then, like, it's funny because I hear her saying that in my head nowadays, like, over and over, and I'm just like, yes, like, we do, there is a connection there between, like, buyer and winemaker, but at the same time, he's also, like, an individual that, like, loves classical music and, like, you know, just really loves basically like any form of art. Like, the art in his house is beautiful, and like he loves poetry. Like, we read this book of poetry together, and it really is just like art, the love of it, and every form. And like, you know, then he's just a wonderful person that you're speaking to across, you know, happens to be one of the best winemakers fucking ever.
Some of the most
But
allocated
also-
California wine that's ever existed. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm just like, but I feel like that's it with like a lot of people, you know. And it's just like, you're a person and I'm a person, and let's fucking like chat. Let's talk about life. Like, let's talk about like, you know, our fears and like wants and like the things that we always want to do before we die. And maybe that's just like me always being like kind of dreamy, not dreamy, but like, you know, always in a different headspace. But I am just like, you know, and I think that's something that I've learned actually opening Dingles. Now, and you know, is just to like talk, ask questions. Everybody around you is like, not everybody, but like, you know, there's friends, there's resources, there's, you know, a hand to be held, and like a hug to be had, and like lunch to be eaten together by everybody around you. And like, whether that's, you know, the wine industry or even just friends, like opening Dingles, it's like you really creating something for yourself. I think you really have to go inside yourself and like you have to ask, like, am I worth this? Like, I am basically like selling our vision and selling, you know, who we are to these people and being like, we're worth it. Can you like help us achieve this dream? Can you like, you know, I don't know, just like
Believe in us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you have to believe in yourself first before you ask other people to. And I think that's something that we both struggled with in the beginning, because like all of a sudden we were at MB and then we're not. And then we're like, all right, like, you know, kids grown up, flown the coop, like gotta do it on their own terms now. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like I you know, we both, like, now we're in a different stage, but we both definitely had a lot of long nights. Sleepless nights are more of a thing now, I would say. But, you know, it's just like, can we do this? Are we these people? Like, you know, and it's just, we think about it and we like both look at each other and we're just like, this is what we fucking live and breathe. This is like, the vein runs in our system. And like, you know, of course we can. And if, you know, we're going to fucking give it our all and we're going to, you know, I guess just fucking just get it done.
Go for it.
Just get it done.
Get it done. That's one of the things that you kept talking about when you were talking about kind of working with your mom and working in the restaurant, and kind of like we were talking about, you know, stepping in to take over the wine program, or like at least, you know, reprint the menus. It was about like, get it done. And I think, you know, I think back to my time when I was working at 8 Tables by George Chen. The manager at the time was, he pointed to another guy on the team and he said, that's our most valuable person on the team. And he was not a captain. And everybody kind of looked and we're like, what are you talking about? And he said, his ability to analyze the whole and fill the hole is what makes him the most valuable player. And it was kind of that ability to read the room and read what other people need and step into that and just like, get it fucking done.
Just fucking get it done.
Yeah. And that get it done attitude is something that I wrote down and I circled, because I was like, that's so cool, because that's what it is. You know, if you're in the weeds, you're like, well, let's not talk about it. Let's just do
exactly.
it. Let's
Don't
go.
talk about it. Don't like say like, oh, if and or but. You're just like, I don't know how the fuck to do it.
Yeah.
Can you teach me once and I'll get it done?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I think that's so beautiful. And like, there's so many things that like you could learn and like grow by just doing that, you know? And like, it's so funny because it's just like, I think for industry people, we just like, we thrive in like the fire.
Yeah.
Like it's just
we live
like,
for the chaos.
Yeah, there's like, you know, like 250 on the books, and it's fucking a Friday night, and you're overbooked for some reason, and then like all of a sudden there's like a big line at the door, all the tables are full, 3 people called out, like, you know, and then it's just like you're just getting it done. Like I remember there's so many times, and it was so funny. There's a reason why like I feel like people learn the skills that they do, because it's just like you were in a specific situation where you just got it fucking done. You know what I mean?
You just had to do it. There's no other option. You just have to do it.
I think, and it, you know, what's funny is I think my career thus far has just been that, like filling holes, like, you know, somebody left or somebody couldn't do something, or like somebody needed help with something, and I'm just like, I can help you. Like, let me help you. And luckily, like that is what my mom taught me, you know, and I was so resistant to it at first, but I was just like, okay, it's just like, you have to push back. And I think, you know, opening the business, it's funny because you do, I don't know about you, but like you listen to a lot of like motivational like speakers and like, and so, it's just, I keep hearing over and over from like CEOs, founders, like ex-vets, or no, ex-vets, but veterans, that they're just like being in the unknown and being in kind of like a challenging position is the best place that you can be, because like you basically build around the resistance that you're in. Like you, like it's always good to be a little bit uncomfortable in the things that you're doing, like as far as growth, you know, like, and I was talking about it recently with somebody, and they're like, you get used to being uncomfortable a lot. Like you get used to being like, I don't know what I'm doing, or like, this is like fucking crazy. And you just like, you just do it, and you just like walk through. And it's, you know, meeting a lot of these like people, like our investors, or, you know, just like different, putting ourselves in certain situations. Like, of course I'm in my head. Of course I'm like, I'm going to stand out like a sore thumb. Like I'm young and I have tattoos, and like, we're going to like this, like, you know, like boxy and fucking opera, you know, and like, and I'm in my head, and I'm just like, just do it, just like go. And we just go. And, you know, some of the most beautiful like stories have happened that way. And like, we've met some of the most beautiful individuals, and I'm just like, I'm going to be constantly a little bit in pain all the time. But like, I think it's so, I'm so thankful, I guess, that we have the opportunity to be like uncomfortable, or like not knowing what to do, and or like even just like being in a constant state of like mental stress opening the restaurant. Like I'm so thankful to be in that position, you know, and like doing it every day with George. And I'm like thankful for like the sleepless nights, and I'm thankful like for things that pop up, and I'm just like, I have no idea how to, you know, like I've talked to more lawyers, accountants, like
architects,
architects,
all these
like
guys,
seeing all these plans, and I'm just like, this is crazy, but I'm like thankful, you know. It's just like you're fucking beat at the end of the day, and it's just like, but that's how you know you had a fucking great day, right? Even if it was terrible. You know, and you survived the day. Exactly. And you always will. And there'll be more things that happen. There'll be even worse things that happen, but you have no idea. It's just the fact that you just like have to wake up again and just be like, let's fucking do this. And but I mean, I'm sure there'll be times where you'll see me and you'll see the like life drain out of my eyes, but just know I'm happy and I'm thankful underneath that.
I'll do my best to remind you of that. I'm sure that'll be helpful. Anytime you're just like really pissed, I'm going to be like, don't forget, you're appreciative of this.
You love this, remember? Yes, Chris, I know. Thank you.
I love the concept of that. I'm curious, like, I wonder if, just trying to think, you know, most people are probably immobilized with fear. You know, it's the concern of like, I don't want to do this, or I can't do this, or like, I don't want to go out and try it because I don't know how it's going to turn out. And, you know, I think about it a lot. You know, this podcast is a little different. Obviously, you know, it's a Sunday. I relaxed a lot today, and, you know, it was a much easier day. But sometimes, like, right before a podcast starts, I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm so tired. Like, can I do this? Can I do this? You know? And then it's like service. Doors are opening at 5. Fucking put the game face on and get through service. You know what I mean? And I'm curious, like, how much more we could get done with our lives and how much more potential we could have if that was just like what we did. And we treated it is an option. It's an option, right? You have the option to not be out of your comfort zone. You have the option to not do things, right? But how much more could you get done if you pushed yourself a little bit further? If you treated it as if it was mandatory, if you didn't have a choice, I've got to do this thing. Why? Because I told myself I would. Yeah. I think that would really could really teach a lot of us something.
Exactly.
I mean?
I've learned that a lot because like I do like being comfortable. I do like, knowing what I'm going to do, knowing who I am going to be around, or like, just things that I'm just comfortable with. But like for the sake of the business, I like had to be like, go do these things. Like I didn't have a choice, and I think I'm really happy that happened because I probably wouldn't have done 80% of the things that we've done this year, if it wasn't for that. And like, I heard something recently and it was like, invest in yourself. And I was like, what does that mean? Like invest in yourself, like skincare? And it was like, no, like invest in yourself. Show up early, not only for the business, but for yourself. Show up early, try to learn more, like strive to be like learn everything in the subject that you're currently doing for yourself. Like you are the one that carries all of those qualities, that carries all of those like skills that are learned, and like you're doing that for you, or you should be. Don't do it for a paycheck, don't do it for like whatever else, like don't do it because somebody is expecting that of you. Do it for yourself. And I like thought about that, and it's so true. It's like, love yourself enough to spend the time that you need to like be this version of you, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I love myself and I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to spend the time. I'm going to like ask questions, even though like in certain environments, like it's scary to ask questions. You don't want to be like a person that like, especially stupid questions. Everybody says there's no stupid questions. There are stupid questions. There are stupid questions, and they do waste time.
The stupid questions are when you don't listen to what somebody just said, and then you ask that question. I just said that.
You're just like, were you listening? But yeah, I think like, I don't know. I think it's great, know. And I do see, I think somebody like the both of you are amazing, and like your strive and your want to like continue and like push and like, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that, maybe we could do that, like maybe we could, you guys are just like, I feel like once you guys met each other, it was just like a well-oiled machine, and you guys are just like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, that's fucking sick. I mean,
it's almost like a I don't often like this term, but it's kind of like the burn the ships. It's like, we're here, there's no other option. Just keep going, figure it out, like keep pushing. If you can't get through this way, try to go around the side. Like just, it's kind of the old saying, over, under, through.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'm getting through it, out. I'm getting out, over, under, or through it, And that's how we, I guess, think. But I'm sure it's the same for you guys, especially. I mean, I'm sure it was that way at Monsieur Benjamin, but especially now, your eggs are in this basket. You're all in, and I think this is, I mean, I can't even think, obviously, in our wonderful group chat, last night, which I do think it's wonderful. So that's not sarcasm.
I love it. I love our group chat.
Bianca and I are always like, isn't it so cool that everybody's still texting each other on here?
You created definitely a little family.
So cool. It makes us so happy. But on our group chat yesterday, it was great to see kind of like Happy Crane opening in the space where Monsieur Benjamin was. I mean, what a stunning space that it was,
beautiful.
Obviously. But I guess maybe the better way to say this is, I haven't been quite as invested or maybe as in touch with somebody opening a restaurant in a long time. So it's you and George opening this together that I think is so cool, right? Like, I didn't know anything was going into the Monsieur Benjamin space until I saw Will last weekend, and they were talking about Happy Crane. I go, what the fuck is Happy Crane? And they go, that's taking over Monsieur Benjamin is. Then we see the text yesterday, and I'm like, holy shit, look at what they're pouring by the glass. That's fucking insane, right? And then I thought, okay, this must be a nice place, and they're aiming to be a nicer place, right? which is so awesome to see. But to me, it kind of came out of nowhere because I didn't know anything about it. But I've been, keeping tabs on you guys, since Monsieur Benjamin closed, and it's just so cool to see it's there. You guys are so close. You're so close to the finish line. What a road it's been.
Oh man, honestly, like everybody always says it's one of the hardest things that you can do. And you're like, we've met so many people and they ask us like, oh, what are you doing? We're opening our own space. And you look at us and we're young, like I'm in my early 30s and George is in his mid 30s. And it's just like, they're like, really? Yeah. Like, I know. Like I don't know. And I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know the gravity, I guess, especially like we are doing it together. But before I forget, I'm so happy Crane's there, and I'm so happy that they're open before we are, so that way we can go.
Right. Yeah.
And they're open on Tuesdays. I'm just like, because we're like trying to plan it out. We got one of the vouchers from their Kickstarter, and I was like so excited. Yeah. It's like your old home. You know, you want to see the lights on. You want to see it like full and like happy
feel the heartbeat.
And like thriving. Yeah, because like that space was so loved, and I'm happy that it's now loved. It's like you don't want to see like your old home be like dilapidated and empty, so I'm so happy about that. But yeah, I never thought it would be to this gravity. I think like a lot of the time I make jokes and yes existential this that, but like I'm just like, are we in a different dimension? Like I kind of just like talk about it with George, and I'm just like, honey, and then he like will do something, I'm like, what you're doing is dissociating, and he's just like, yeah. Just like, but it like pushes like your mental state to like a completely different, and like mind you, we're not open.
Sure.
Like I'm saying that with like a grain of salt. Like chef is like, just wait until you get open, that's when the real pain starts. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like it's just like a constant like roller coaster of pain. And like all the other owners that I've met, they're like, yeah, you okay? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's just like constantly being in like fight or flight. Sure. Like always ready to handle a situation, and like most of the situations that happen you don't even know anything about them. Like we recently had this issue when we were like importing like our banquettes from Istanbul, and it was the most stressful situation in the entire world, and I would get emails at like 3 a.m. and just like, but important, like, are you there, like emails, and I'm like, we live in San Francisco, I'm asleep, man. Like and I'm just like, it would like, we've definitely cried like a few times, I would say. And George is like obsessive, and he should be. Like, he should be 100% obsessive. I am too. I think we handle stress differently. But it's just like, we'll be in bed, like going to sleep, lights are off. All of a sudden he turns around and he asks me a question, and he's just like, what about like this? Or like, what if we like do service this way? Or like, what do you think about like this? And I'm just like, honey, I'm about to go to sleep. Like, what are we?
If we have this conversation, we're going to be up for another 2 hours.
Exactly. I'm just like, listen, we already can't sleep as it is. And we're just like, now it's like the middle of the night, and we're talking about like, we're like obsessing over. And it's funny because it is really just like that one small detail.
For
like,
sure.
We'll just be looking at something, and it's like literally a third of an inch, and we'll just be like debating about it for a good like hour and a half. And I'm just like, no, okay, yeah, or like this and that, just like, and it's just, and raising is really hard too. Like, I think, being in a position where you're just like, can you help me? Like, can you invest in us? Can you like give us this like outlandish amount of money, like to build our dream? And like, we're doing that conservatively, and like, and then I guess just like constantly being put in that like position, it's extremely humbling, because like you're just like trying to find any way possible just to make this one thing happen with like what and luckily there are people that believe in us, and they love us, and they like want us to succeed, and they love the concept, and I think that's great, and I'm really happy because it like reaffirms your dream.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, almost like I know that the you know, the advice, or maybe the warning, I guess, has been, you know, wait till you get open. But to me, it's like once you're open, you're no longer isolated. Right now, it's you guys alone. And when you open, you're going to be surrounded by people that love you guys, and they're going to be coming and visiting you. There's going to be tough services. Absolutely. There's going to be some bullshit with vendors from time to time. There's going to be lots of like hurdles on the day to day. But at the same time, you guys are going to be put back in touch with what made you passionate about this in the first place, which is the interactions.
Yeah, I miss it's funny, it's like a fish out of water for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we like being in service so much constantly, like every day, like being at the restaurant, like, you know, hearing and talking but hearing and talking about just like people, like we miss our people. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just like, I don't know, like all the people that it used to be so tired after. And I feel like any industry that involves people, because, you know, like you're hearing their stories, you're like talking about with them about their days, like you're talking, like you're experiencing their first dates, you're like, you know, experiencing them after a loss, you know, there's so many emotions in that one restaurant, in your little restaurant, and you're just like there with it. You're holding all of their hands. You're like making sure they're having an amazing meal. And so you go home and you have all these feelings inside of you. And like my ritual used to be that I used to take a bath, like especially after a really long service. Like it just felt really cleansing,
Right.
you know? And but like I miss it so much. I miss being a part. And it's funny because I've turned into almost like my grandma in a way. She just could talk to anybody, anywhere, at any time. And I think because I haven't been around my people, you know, like our guests, or like even staff, like, you know, I'm just like, when we're at a store, I'm just like, how's your day going? Like, I'm just like that one, like chatty Kathy, and I'm just like, how are you doing? Like, how's your, you know, and I'm just like, oh wait, sorry. Like, I don't,
but I think our world needs more of that, you know. It's something that, like, you know, this office is great. We love this office, but like, there's many times that we walk through here, and the majority of the people that are in this place are, you know, AI tech, and that's great. But every time we walk past somebody, you know, I try to look them in the eyes and smile at them, and there's not a lot of eye contact. There's not a lot of human interaction, which is fine. Like, I'm not expecting somebody to like say hello to me, right? But it's so funny. I talk to Bianca about it all the time. And like in Texas, it was absolutely different. You walk past anybody, you say hello to everybody, right? And then, you know, we'll go to LA together. And she's like, "Wow, people are so much nicer down here." And I'm like, "Yeah, and LA people still suck." Like,
yeah.
You know, but
they would say that too.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, that's also like, I keep thinking about like what you're talking about, which is like how much of it is me not engaging with them, right? Like I can put it on them, like, oh, they didn't make eye contact with me, but also like nobody else is making eye contact with them. So unless I engage and I say, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, good evening. Hey, you know, what's up? You know, excuse me," right? And like, unless we're interacting with people, we can't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
And so much of what the hospitality industry is to me is us. Again, we're in that position of giving, and receiving, right? This energy, and I don't think that happens a lot anywhere else nowadays, you know, whether it's isolations on our phone or whatever. But I think, you know, I'm so excited for you guys to open, because it's going to be kind of like a gathering place where people will interact with each other.
Yeah.
Whether it's ordering food or not, it's, "Hey, how are you today?" "I'm well." "Oh, cool." And it's a brief exchange. Every one of those moments gets somebody out of their head and back into the room with another human. You know what I mean?
And yeah, I would agree. Sometimes when it gets really hard, like, yes, we're doing this for ourselves, but I also think about all those people that came in, and like I think about like the regulars that we used to have that used to come in.
I was thinking about your Be a Cart lady earlier.
Yeah. Oh, she's great, the Donna host. I remember that we're doing it for them, you know, and we run into them sometimes, and I'm like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And they're like, "When are you opening?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "We're going to open soon. I promise. Like, I promise we're going to be like that place for you again," you know? And I'm just like, because we are. And like my mom always had, oh my gosh, she would always have this like speech. I don't remember it in words because you listen to your parents half the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
But like, she was always like, "I'm there to make your day better. Like, I am here for you. And like, whether you had a great day or a bad day or the worst day of your fucking life, I'm gonna make sure that you leave happy, warm, and like fed, or, you know, in drinks or food, I guess.
Yeah.
And like, she was so adamant about service. And it was just like, it was funny because like certain restaurants we'll go to, and like if we had like a really shitty server, she'd get so upset.
Oh yeah.
She'd just be like, you don't want to be here. Like, why are you here if you don't want to be here?
Yeah.
Granted, yes, like things aren't that easy, and like sometimes you just need to check and stuff like that. But she would just be like, you know, she's like, what if I just like lost somebody and you're like treating me like shit?
Yeah.
And so like my mom would always say that. She's like, you, like, even if you don't want to be there, don't fucking,
it's nobody else's problem.
No, it's not their problem.
Yeah.
They're coming because like it's an extension of their living room, but better. You know, it's like it's somewhere they want to be. And so like, and they're spending their time and their money and like, you know, all these things on your space. And so you need to be that person for them, you know, or that place. And I'm just so excited to be that place. And to have the fireplace specifically, I'm like, oh, like little crackling fireplace, like white tablecloths. We got our martini glasses in the other day. And like, yeah, I'm just like, I can't wait to hear that like rumble of like clinking glasses and like laughter,
silverware on
and
plates.
like, exactly. And like,
Yeah.
is like the cocktail shaker and like just like, oh man, like, and just like listening to the music and thinking about like what playlist we're gonna play on certain days, because Sunday always has a different vibe than like, you know what I mean? And I guess just bringing a part of the UK over here as well, because like it was a culture shock for me. Like I never thought I would marry like a Brit. I don't know why, but like when you're in Salinas, everybody around you is like Mexican, really.
Sure.
You know, so I was just like, oh, okay, that's great. Never did I thought I would be opening a British pub, like British pub white tablecloth situation. But then when I went to the UK, we try to go every year to see his family. Going to a pub is like an experience, because like all hours of the day, kids, family, like your nan is there, like, and they're having dinner or they're watching a game together, or like, you know, it's like, it's not really sticky. There's wood everywhere. There's maybe a fireplace sometimes, like, and like, but to see it be like this place where your entire family's welcome, and like you can come in for a pint, you can come in for a really nice martini, you can come in for like, you know, dinner or whatever. Like it's just it's nice to have all of that in one, I guess. And that's what we want to do here. Like I feel like when you associate pubs, you associate them with like sticky floors and like, you know, like
21 up,
exactly,
people smoking cigarettes outside. Yeah.
And so I think like incorporating that is going to be really exciting. You know. But yeah,
love that. Yeah, I think culturally in other countries, you know, drinking is just different, you know, and
different.
And the idea to me of, you know, a pub over there, and I've never been there, but what you're explaining to me sounds more like a third place, right? It's like somewhere you can go that's not your house and it's not work, but you can go and you can spend time with your family and your loved ones. I mean, so many places in Noe Valley where we live that I walk past and I'm like, I'd love to go there, but it's 21 and up. Can't take my kid. You know what I mean? And it's like, all I want, I mean, I'm down for some sticky floors. I'm okay with that. All I want is to be able to go in and order a beer and sit down and watch a game and have Emma eat some breadsticks or something, right? Or like mozzarella sticks. But, you know, it's 21 up only, right? So I don't know, the idea of kind of being able to have all of that in one space is really exciting. So yeah, I'm excited. One of the things that, you know, we're incorporating in season 4 that I'd love to talk to you about, and there's a lot of things here, is the spark, right? And you've kind of talked about a lot of amazing things, and I've, you know, to me, you were talking about sitting in the booth and, you know, while your mom was working, and I was thinking about like, you were surrounded by family the whole time, the hospitality family, right? So I wrote big family hospitality. You were 9, you were opening your first bottle of wine. You were 15, you were bar backing, you know, watching Check Please, wanting to move to SF, and watching Absinthe. Of all of those things, or maybe of something else, is there something that you would identify as kind of your spark that said like, this is what I want to do? The hospitality industry, the wine industry, or anything that you were like, fuck yeah, I'm in.
I think there has been a few, to be honest. I think at one point in time after maybe Big Night, no, not Big Night, maybe after Alexander's, Kate was trying to get me a job in tech. And I was like, oh, okay, like I've been an office manager, I've been in HR, I've been like, whatever, like maybe the industry isn't the place for me. And like, cause I was making close to nothing. And I was like, I don't know if I can live like this anymore, because it is hard depending on like what job you're doing.
Well, then you see the pay of tech and you go like, that's the most tempting thing.
Especially a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
When it was like boom, boom,
through
boom.
the roof.
Yeah. And like, so I went to the interview. Not only that, but like I was also interviewing with like a couple banks. Like I interviewed with like First Republic, RIP, just kidding.
Oh.
I was like interviewing with all these other people, and I was just like, I remember being in the waiting room for like my third interview in First Republic, and I was just like sitting there, and I could smell like stale coffee, and like it was so pristine and like precise, and like just staring at like the white like floor.
So sterile.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what am I doing? And I remember going back into like a restaurant that day, and I was just like, this is me. Like, this is what I want. This is like my whole self. And like, the more time I spent away from it while I was like interviewing with these places, because I took some time, I was like, I need to be back in a restaurant. Like, I need to like hurt. I need my like feet to fucking hurt, because I walked so much and like ran with grace, ran like a walk run. You can't run in a dining room.
Glided across the floor.
Exactly. I'm like, I want like, I don't know. I just want like that feeling like that. Like, it's almost like not masochistic in a way, but some of us are like, we love it. Like we love like, like being under fire and like, being in the weeds and like, just like, that's when your brain is like so connected and it's just like, And so I went back into the restaurant, and then luckily that's when like all the doors started opening, and I was like filling all these gaps, and I'm like, please let me help you. Like, let me learn this. Let me like become part of what
reinvigorated for the industry.
Exactly. And like, let me learn from you, please. And so like that's when all the wine started happening, and like that's when like MB started, and I was like, can I get my level 1? Can I like get my level 2? Can I like keep going? Can I like do a bar program and like construct like cocktails that I think have the like oomph of being from chef, like you know what I mean, not that they're from chef, but like having like when they drink it, they like have some sort of association. And so like putting your first cocktail on the menu and like getting it tasted by all the chefs, and like I'm like, yes, this is great. And I feel like you just get reaffirmed by it, by like your family, you're the family that you made. And like I remember during COVID, after COVID, our executive chef at the time, because like it was only the managers working still, and we could barely get anybody like hired, because they were just everywhere. Like so many people just didn't want to be in the industry anymore. They're paying you so much to stay home. Yeah. And I was just like, what are we gonna do? And then I like one night, it was like a really like kind of like bleak night, not bleak, but like it was definitely heavy. And then I was like, chef, what do you think we're gonna do? And he's like, to be honest, like I think the industry is gonna come back stronger. And I was like, why? And he's like, well, because it kind of weeds out like the people who are doing it just for a job, because they find jobs somewhere else. He's like, but the people who love the industry and like love their job and love learning and love growing, they're gonna hang on, because it's the only thing they know how to do. It's the only thing that like makes them them. And he's like, so those people are gonna just stick around and make it even stronger in the end, because it's like, it's just what we do. And I was like, okay, like it's like you don't really know what to expect. And then like through the years, I'm just like meeting people and talking to people, and like on that Somm trip, like hearing everybody like talk about it and like have that like passion and like drive for everything. Like they weren't just interested in wine, they love wine, but
there's nobody there that didn't want to do this for the rest of their life.
Exactly. And like seeing you guys and just like honestly, I think like any extra effort, or like even just like going the another mile, learning a new thing, like really putting yourself out there, I feel like is like in the industry in particular, like I feel like that's really hard, but it's coming back so hard, like it's coming back so strong, you know. Now these like big stunners that are like young and like, you know, still kind of have life in them, they're like coming out and like building something for themselves, and now like our city is like boom boom boom, you know, and I'm just like, this is sick, like this is our fucking community, man, and like I'm so happy to be a part of it, you know. Like side A seems to be like doing really well, and I love that, you know, that they seem super busy, and I was like, that place looks sick, and like, you know, Happy Crane, and like all these like openings that are happening, and I'm just like, this is great, like this is our home, you know. So
I love that. That's awesome. What do you think of the wine?
The wine is delicious.
Good. That's the most important part. I mean, you know, it's not always blindable, but as long as you like it, that's the most important part. I was so torn for what to pour you because, you know, having worked with a French and a little bit of California program before, I was like, do I pour something crazy? I really wanted to go to the bunker and get one of the higher end Tyler bottlings that I had out, because I remember we tasted, I think I was the first person to taste you on Tyler, and I didn't have time to do that. So instead I went with something that felt a little more passé, but at the same time I was like, well, it reminds me of something that we used to drink when we first got into the industry. So
oh my god,
I brought a bottle of Sancerre because I feel like nowadays everybody fucking hates Sancerre, right? Just like everybody hated Merlot, but I feel like Sancerre is going through this kind of like shift, and we talked about global warming earlier, global climate change, however I'm allowed to say that, I don't know anymore. But you know, in Chavignon, in an eastern facing hillside that's getting bathed in sunlight all day long, you know, these wines are just getting richer and riper and more pyrazines.
I think that's what was really interesting to me, is like the fruit on it. Like it's so like energetic and like flush, and I'm just like, what is, because the end is just like Sancerre. But the beginning of it, I'm just like, what is that?
So this is from the small town of Membray, which is to the north of Chavignon a little bit, and they're actually on a western-facing hillside. So the region is getting warmer, but they're in a cooler area. So that's why we're getting so much kind of like concentration and minerality out of this wine, which I love this wine. I'm excited to drink it, which is the first time I can say that about Sancerre.
I know.
In a while. I said that about a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc the other day. I go, I really like this. And then I just thought, like, what the fuck, you know? Loire Valley, we all think Loire Valley nowadays, and we're like, yeah, Chenin Blanc and you know, Cabernet Franc. That's what I want. Or Melon, right? I love Muscadet, but, you know, then people are like, you want some Sancerre? I'm like, I'm okay. You know, Sauvignon Blanc has been kind of this hit or miss thing for me lately, but I think there's a lot of producers that are kind of maybe ahead of the curve of climate change. So
Sancerre was like my like bread and butter for MB.
I'm
Sancerre,
sure.
Bordeaux. Honestly, like so many cases of it all the time, like burn through it. I kind of already knew what to expect, like going into some nights, and I'm just like, make sure that this is all chilled. Like, you know, but some of we would sell like case plus, maybe 2 cases
a night,
and it was funny because it would be on a Friday, and I was just like, because by the time Sunday came around, I would be like, I don't have any more wine.
You're not getting orders till Tuesday,
no.
Wednesday.
Just, but oh man, that just like made me kind of freak out still. But
pays the bills. Yeah. There was this old cocktail bar in Galveston, Texas, and it was like a craft cocktail bar, and I don't know if I'm allowed to tell people what their LLC is. Anyways, it was a craft cocktail bar, and they only carried like 2 vodkas, but their LLC name was Vodka Pays the Bills, because they were just like old school bartenders, and they were like, we know what this is. Like, we know people are going to want vodka, you know.
Crates of Sky.
Yeah. Oh man, take me back. No, or don't. Okay, so that kind of brings us to the point of like closing statements, advice. I mean, obviously, you know, you've had this incredible career of like, again, get it done attitude, and, you know, really putting yourself on the line, you know, for this new restaurant, and really putting yourself out there for every opportunity that's come your way, you know, being the person that says, give it to me, pass the ball to me, you know, not being scared to do that. Is there advice or statement that you'd like to make, or anything that you'd like to leave the listeners with? Or it could be multiple things.
Yeah, I think one thing that I keep thinking about personally is just like there's always another door. Like just look, this problem isn't unsolvable. There's always a door. And whether that be to opportunity, to knowledge, to like something that just like makes you unstuck, like there's always tomorrow. There's always like, just open the door, just wait for the door, find another way, and like it's fine, and just keep going, and like you are worth it, and like just keep going, and that door will pop up and you'll see it, and it's clear as day. And just like, yeah, I guess. And when problems happen with George and I now, not with George and I, but with the restaurant, I just like honestly like envision doors, and I'm just like waiting for that door to like come to my head, and I'm just like, we're gonna do that with that, and like we're gonna do that with that, and it's just like sometimes like the biggest hurdle in the world like is actually not a hurdle at all, and there's gonna be another one, like a bigger one next week, and like, but there's always something, there's always like, you just got to keep going, I guess. Like, and there was a bar, April Jean.
Oh yeah.
And I think
in North Beach, right?
Yeah, great cocktails. Yeah. But I think one of the owners was there one night after we got out of like the opera or something, and my friend was like, "Oh, she's opening a restaurant. Like, do you have any advice?" And he told me, he's just like, "Just don't give up." And I was like, "Yeah, it's simple. Like, three words. Don't give up." But like, I was like, "Well, I don't really have a choice. Like, I can't give up. Like, I'm already too far gone." But now, like every day, I'm just like, now I know what you mean. Like, now I know what you mean when it just, there's so much going on, and I just hear him saying that, like, don't give up. And I'm like, you're right. I'm not going to give up. But it's so easy to sometimes. Oh. But I mean, I'm sure I'll look back on this and I'm just going to be like, that's where I was at that time. Like, after all of the meals that were, made, and all the drinks that were poured, and like all the years that are going to go by. And I'm just like seeing where I am currently, I think is going to be special. Yeah. So thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. That's, to me, the thought is like, let's document these moments. Let's document these things. And, I've always, I wish I had more time with my dad. I wish I had more time with my grandpa. And I was always like, man, I wish I had like moments. And then I was like, I can do this. I can create moments. I can document moments,
You're in charge of your own life. And like, there's so much life to be lived if you let yourself live it.
If you let yourself live it. Well, here's to live in it. I don't want to cheers empty. Sorry.
I never thought you would make me like Sancerre.
I know, that's why I like to pour it. Cheers.